Hey everybody, what's going on? Thank you all for tuning in. Today I have two special guests. Thank you guys. Thank you both for joining me today. Before I get into any of the topics, how are y'all doing? How is your well-being?
Hanging in there, trying to deal with everything going on, as well as trying to make sure that I'm okay as well and taking care of myself, because we know that's important.
Very super important.
Yeah, I agree. I'm pretty good. Just trying to process everything that's going on, in the world right now, while also like making sure I'm not going crazy in the middle of that. So, just like trying to find that balance. But everything is pretty good right now.
That's good. Good to hear. That is very good to hear. Do you think that there's more pressure on millennials today than say 20 years ago? Like, do you think like we have a certain type of expectation, or do you think that just time progresses, just how it was?
I guess I'll start. So I think there's more pressure on millennials today, strictly based because of education. Because say like when our parents were growing up, like people went to college, people graduated from high school, but like a lot of people dropped out. And like for a lot of them, like I can like say for like a lot of people in my family, it was like school wasn't like the end all be all. Like if you didn't graduate, that kind of thing, it was okay because you could go get a job in a trade field or take a couple years off from school and then go back later, that kind of thing. But it's like now it's so much pressure on people to like go to school, get an education, because it's like in the world now, I mean, it's sad that it's like this, but a lot of times it's like if you don't have a college degree, there's not much you can do to like make a stable living for like you and your future family. So I definitely think it's more pressure now, really because of education.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like back then, like college, it wasn't even, I mean, technically it was like a good amount of money, but nowhere near the amount that we have to pay now. And everyone's like, I mean, they engrave in our minds that we have to go to school. I mean, because we kind of do, but that's not completely true. But when we feel like we have to go to school, like that's putting us in a position that we have to go into a tremendous amount of debt, which is crazy. I mean, the millennials have to deal with, it's mind-boggling to me how much money we spend on school, and then some people aren't even in the jobs that they go to school for. But like even out of education, like social media wise, I don't know about you, but like I feel so overwhelmed by the things that I see on social media, and I feel like I have to look a certain way like when I'm looking at people's posts, and I don't know, self-image wise, I feel like it's a lot worse for us as well.
Yeah, definitely different, and specifically education, there's a different type of expectation towards that. So I would say our parents had different educational expectations than, say, their parents or our grandparents. So, like, say someone who was born in the 40s, 50s, or even 60s, they had, like, okay, perfect example was smoking was a thing in the 40s, like smoking on TV, like news reporters would smoke on live TV because it was normal. They would just weather reports smoking. In the 70s and 80s, you found out that it was starting to be, that's not necessarily okay. And then today, that's even worse. You smoke. First of all, people who smoke cigarettes, that is, if you still think that makes you look cool, like I understand if you smoke, that's fine. If you're addicted, you're stuck with that. But if you still smoke because you think that it makes you look cool in some way or it's the thing, it's not. I'm sorry to break your bubble, but you gotta stop it. And it's just the same thing with education. I feel like definitely in the 70s and 80s, I would say the educational requirement is definitely different from our grandparents' educational requirements, and for sure our educational requirements, because tuition is insanely skyrocketed since in the 10 years. This one might be a little more passionate, but how do you respond? Or what would you say to someone who's showing prejudice behavior like towards? Does it bother you, or do you just like you understand that some people are just this way, and you just gotta let it go?
Mm.
Yeah, I know.
Oh man.
Let that go. Nuh-uh.
I want to know your thoughts.
Okay, so man, that's hard. I would probably say, first of all, prejudice definitely does bother me because it's not something that should be accepted, you know? Like if you feel like someone is viewing you differently just because of your skin color or what you look like or your gender, like you shouldn't have to accept that. Like you should want to feel like they say this is a free country. You should feel like you're free to be able to express yourself as you are, you know, whether that be race, gender, any kind of stuff. So prejudice definitely does bother me because it makes me feel like I'm being looked at like I don't belong or something. And that's not okay, you know, like in a country that I live in and pay taxes in, like all of that kind of stuff, like I should feel like I belong here. So I guess my way of dealing with that is I try to get an understanding first of what that person's thought process is, you know, like sometimes you can kind of tell if someone has just like been raised strictly on like their parents' opinions of like, because I can take it like with the black type thing. So, you know, we probably went to school with some people that have racist parents and they grew up being ingrained with that thought of like, you know, black people are this or black people are like negatively this, whatever. So it's like, that's all they know. So like sometimes I try to like understand like, okay, did that person grow up, you know, with this mindset? Because I mean, it's not that I'm not upset about it, but it's like, it gives me a reason to be like, okay, like this is literally all they know. But there's also like time for them to change that. So like I just try to like understand first, and then after that I try to pick my words wisely because I'm not the one to just let prejudice just sit, you know. So it's like I'll definitely say something, but it's not going to be in a disrespectful way, and also I'm going to break it down to where like that person can understand what I'm saying, you know. Like so for like with the example of like their parents, like you can, for me it's easy to tell when they just don't know, like they're just ignorant to the fact that like they may have prejudiced beliefs because like when they go home, that's all they hear. Like since they were 2-3 years old, that's all they remember. So just like having to get them to see like this different like side of things can be difficult. But you know, just being able to have like effective conversations, you know, without it getting disrespectful or heated or that kind of thing. I think that's like the main way to like address prejudice. So
yeah, I definitely have a friend, multiple friends that I'm trying to help understand. Like, I don't, for some reason, some things still aren't clicking with them, even though they've been explained multiple times. Like, and you've seen it all on social media, like the All Lives Matter things. Like, you've seen so many people have posted so many different analogies that make so much sense, but for some reason, it's not clicking with people. And so, I mean, you can try. Like, I'm trying so hard to try to explain things to people. But at some point, like you just have to realize like it's time to stop. Like I'm not gonna get myself riled up over them choosing to be ignorant or racist or whatnot. But definitely, I like what you were saying, Lauren. Just trying to understand where they're coming from is definitely where we should all start for any kind of debate over whatever. But yeah, for sure.
I definitely agree with both of you in the sense of understanding, but I'm just gonna be honest with you. I will not try to convince anybody to do anything because I've passed that. It's okay to try to teach somebody something, but you can't teach everybody or you can't change everybody. That's what we want. And I've just accepted that. Like now, I'm not giving up hope. Of course, stuff on my shoe and expect me not to say anything. No. You're gonna have to apologize for stuff on my shoe. You're gonna have to shoe shine it, maybe buy me, some new tennis shoes. Like you have to do something. Like I want you to give me that same effort you did for disrespecting me. I want to see that same effort and apology. Listen, you don't have to say you're sorry. Just be like, this is what I would much rather you say. Hey man, I grew up with different moral views. I grew up thinking Black people were inferior. I would much rather you say that in a respectful way than to you just show that in a behavior without any type of justification or reasoning behind it. I'd rather you not do either, but I would much rather you, you know, tell me why you think, like both of you said earlier, tell me why you think this way, and I'll hear you out. I'll for sure hear you out, but I won't just put, prejudice to me is just a straight up emotion. There is no type of reasoning, no type of factual evidence as to why someone and it's not even race sometimes. It could be gender, it could be physical abilities, it can even be emotional. Like you can judge, like for example, when we look at certain people who are very religious, like Muslims, the Muslim community, we view them a certain way, sometimes unintentionally. Like I view the Muslim community as very sacred and more like strict rules, like everything for the most part of the daily life is strict. But from an actual Muslim, they may see something totally different. So that's me being prejudiced unintentionally. So I guess that falls to my next question. Do you think, either of you think that all of us have some type of prejudice in us?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I'm not even gonna lie, like, growing up, like, I have, like, a huge, tremendous Black family, but growing up as a military kid, I grew up around, like, a lot of white people, and for some reason, I don't even know how, but, like, kind of like the colorist idea, like, you know, like, I don't know, like, I've seen it, and I felt it for some reason. It's just, I don't know. Like, it's sad that sometimes, like, I would even going to Chicago, like, I'm like, oh no, I gotta stay away from my own people. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just messed up, but that's just what I saw, like, on TV and what people would talk about, and it's really sad. So, like, now I'm trying to change my mentality about that, like, because these are my people.
I agree. I think that sometimes, we can have our own prejudices and not realize it. Because, it's like in our society today, I feel like so many people have normalized like having your own prejudice that like you just immune to it, like, don't even realize you're doing it. Like for example, sometimes I'll catch myself like not falling into stereotypes, but it's like people like everywhere, there's stereotypes all the time, and it's like sometimes I'll catch myself thinking some of those things, and I'm like, no, like you don't need to be thinking like that. But it's like, I guess that's just like second nature, it's like you don't realize you're doing it until you actually stop and think about it. And it's like, okay, why am I thinking this about someone when I've never talked to them? I don't know anything about them, but, just from maybe like their outer appearance or something like that, I already have all these thoughts about them. And it's like, I don't want that to be done to me. So why am I doing that to someone else? So I think it's just really important to catch yourself when you're doing that, because it does kind of happen naturally to everybody. So
I think the saddest thing is probably that I've felt more prejudice towards like my own people, or I guess like really, really, really Southern white people. Like those, actually, that's like probably the only people that I've had like maybe a prejudice towards, because when I was growing up, we were like told to treat everyone equal and to treat everyone with respect and love and kindness, especially in the Christian household. But then also moving around a lot, like I got to see so many different kinds of people and their cultures, and I was just kind of immersed in that. So I didn't really grow up scared or thinking anything wrongly of someone that didn't really look like me or didn't have the same beliefs as me.
Yeah, definitely. And you're not the only person, because I have definitely judged like other Black people, and it's unintentional, but it's like the ones that you see who are like tatted up, dreads. I'm not gonna lie to you. I take a double look, like hold on, let me make sure I'm on my A game. Like if I get robbed, those thoughts, but they naturally come in my head, and I don't to like I hope I'm wrong, but it's a lot of cases. Unfortunately, you're probably gonna be right, but it's like I'm using this example. It's like certain white people view only one side of Black people. Like we can all agree on this line. There's different types of Black people. There's different kinds of people. There's different kinds of Hispanics. And so like not all Asian people are the same. Not all of this group is the same. So like when you see that, like some white people only see black people as I may look like Young Thug to a lot of black people. Like for some white people, I may look like Young Thug, and I look nothing like Young Thug, or J. Cole. Like I look nothing like these people. But that's just how. Or light and dark skin. They always get us mixed up, which don't know how because that's two different completely colors. But and it goes for like a lot of the races. It's just like different types of races, and it's tough to kind of explain that to somebody because it's hard. First of all, humans in general don't like change, even if it's wrong. And we have delusional leaders in this country who encourage that, and that's a whole nother topic. But change in general, even if it's wrong, if you told somebody who believed their whole life that the earth was flat, they believed that for 25 years of their life, and you tell them 25 years later, hey, the earth is round, by the way, even if you can have all the physics, you can have all the evidence you want, there's in the back of their mind, they're still going to think that this earth is flat. So it's hard to change people.
And then also I was thinking of how kind of like what we were talking about earlier was just like changing people's ideas and like of what they're thinking, even if it was like engraved in their mind. And like growing up, I would kind of be like, well, I want to show them that I'm responsible, that I am educated, that I know how to speak properly, and so I can change their ideas of what a Black person is. But in reality, not all Black people are educated or talk like me or look like me, and they still deserve the same respect no matter what.
I agree. And then that's another thing, like sometimes I found that like even, if you have a lot of those qualities, they're still going to view you. Some people might still view, an educated, well-spoken, articulate Black person the same way that they're going to, perceive somebody that, is fully tatted and has dreads and has 5-6 guns. It's like some people might still see us the same. And it's like, why? Like, I just don't understand why. Black people do it too, you just like generalize like a group of people as like everyone having those same characteristics no matter what. It's like, I just don't understand that. Because, like, it definitely goes for like, Black versus white, but even like Black people, like what we were just talking about, like sometimes we kind of like divide ourselves in a way too. Because actually I was talking about this with some of my friends from like college, and everybody kind of said the same thing. Like in their high schools, it was like different groups of Black people or like different types. And it's like, like we're over here supposed to be unified, but it's like, and everybody said the same thing. And I was like, wow, this is crazy, because Buckhorn was kind of the same way. It's like you had your so-called educated, well-spoken Black people, which was like us, I guess. You had like the athletes, and then it's like you had the wannabe thug people that really aren't, but they portray themselves as that. So it's like, even like as high schoolers, like we broke ourselves up into like these little stereotypes, and it's like that just keeps going. So,
and then the fact that not the fact people wanting to believe that educated Black people are acting white. And even Black people say, I hate it. I hate being called white, and I hate it when people say I act white. Like I'm acting like me. I don't understand. Like, how can I act white if I'm educated? How is I acting white? Because someone in high school, I'm not gonna say their names, but I'm never gonna forget.
Don't say their name. I don't want to get demonetized.
My freshman year, I will never forget. They told me, they said, Lacey, you act so white. And I was like, what?
I can't stand that.
Huh? I said, what does that mean? He was like, well, you're not like other Black people. Like, you're really smart. And I was like, excuse me. I don't even think I said anything. I was like,
because it's like, what do you say back to that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was a white person that told me that, by the way. So we have context.
Look, that's a whole conversation, because like oh my gosh, like I saw this Instagram post, and it was like things to not say to a Black person, and it was like, do not tell them they talk white, they dress white, they act white, you think you're white, you're not as black as you think you are. Like, where do these things come from? And it's like, it just irritates me because, like, I can say I've probably been told most of those things at least one time, probably more than that. You know, it's like, just because, like, for high schools, like, just because you take AP classes does not mean that you're white. Like, what? Like, that makes no sense. And then just because you dress a certain way, and it's like, you know, like, I just didn't wear Jordans. It's not that I didn't like them; that just wasn't my style. But like,
It's
just
expensive
because,
too. Like, I'm not about
right,
to pay $100 for no
on the
shoes, bro.
same money. Yeah. So it's
I don't
like,
care if he is black.
exactly. And I'm like, just because I don't dress a certain way does not make me another race. Like, since when does like dressing a certain way make you a color? Like, that blows my mind. I'm like, where does this come from?
Or
It's
even
like when you
hanging out
think
with
about
white people.
yes.
If
And
they
they're
see
like,
you
oh,
hanging
you
out
don't
with
think
people,
you're
they're like,
black.
oh no, she's white. Like, what? My friends are white,
Yeah. And it's
but I
like,
also have
like
black
what?
friends.
What I could never understand.
Exactly.
What I could never understand was why are we, and I'm saying we as other races than white. Why is the bar white? Why is that the bar we need to be running towards? That's first of all, I've never ran towards the white bar, if you know what I mean. Like trying to be, I guess the top 1% is made up of white people. No. Sir, solely mistaken. The top 1% in reality can be anybody, and I mean anybody. I don't care how old you are, male, gender, what race, physical, mental disability, whatever you are. As long as you perform your best at whatever it is that you want to do, no one should even ever say you're acting a certain race. Like you said, Lauren, there's no and the thing that trips me out is people who are like, when you call them out on this BS, they're like, oh, I don't see color. I'm like, first of all, that's a lie, because I see color. It's like you're trying too hard to try to convince me that you're not racist. You're trying too hard. Just, you see color, but you're trying too hard. It's like saying my goldfish is black. It's like, yo, okay, first of all, that doesn't make you. And also it's like Lisa, you were saying in the beginning, they want to be oppressed so much. If you're willing to say, I have a black friend, makes you a part of the
Not racist.
Because
I got friends. Some of the friends I'm still trying to help out. They still like to say the N-word. And I'm like, no, that's not okay. And they're like, oh, they're like, no, it's the past. We talk about the past. The past for them that they can say that word.
Talk about the N-word real fast. And for those of you who do not know the N-word, we're talking about neglect. No, I'm kidding. We're not talking about that. I will not say it, but the N-word. Okay, so what I don't know about you two, but over time, I've just like, listen, I'm gonna be straight up honest. If you say it behind closed doors in your home, I could care less. I'm just being totally honest. If you're white, if you say it behind closed doors, I could care less. All I want you to do is just don't say it to my face. Don't say it around me. Don't say it around a group of just. If you say it's and that's just what you want, you just solely believe that you want to say this word for whatever need, even though there's no need to use this word in everyday vocabulary. But if you feel the need that you want to say this behind closed doors, that's your deal. I'm out of it, But all I ask is you just respect people's personal beliefs, but you do have to understand. If you understand the origin, you would understand that. Okay, probably should not use this word. But if you still insist on using this word, then fine. But if you really understood the origin, you would at least be sympathetic towards people of color, specifically African Americans and Black people in general. So,
I just don't understand the fascination with wanting to say it. Like, what do y'all gain from this? Like, why is it such a thing that, like, oh, I'm white, I can say the N-word? Like, what? It's like, why? Like, you shouldn't want to use that. And it's like, I don't know, like, they just see it as just like some fascinating word or something. And I'm like, no. And what really bothers me is like when they ask why they can't say it. And I'm like, so my thing is, first of all, I feel like as Black people, we are not responsible for educating other people on things that they can go read about on the internet themselves. Like, if you want to know why the word is offensive, look it up. Like, just because I'm Black does not make me responsible for being your teacher. You're ignorant yourself because you didn't take the time to go look at it. And that just, ooh, it gets me heated.
Just I think they just want to claim everything. I really do. I think it's just that mentality that they have to have everything. And it's like, once they can't, like, same thing with them being oppressed. I don't understand. Like, they just want everything so badly. They're like, well, why can't I say it? Like, I'm like, what do you mean? It's not for you to say.
Exactly.
But
it's like they want everything to be for them. And it's like, not all people are like that, of course, but it's like a lot of like white people don't want anything to exclusively be like reserved for another race. And I'm just like, okay, like, y'all have some things that are kind of reserved for you, and you know, we're different. We want to have things reserved for us too. Like, not everything has to be shared among races and stuff. Like, I just don't understand that at all.
Like how you don't be like how we don't take things that are special to other cultures. Like, you're not gonna see me marching around with like the Native American headdress on. Like, that's not for me. That's not my culture. Right. That's not mine. I understand where it comes from, and I understand what it means to those people. So I'm not gonna do that. I don't understand why it's so hard for other people to realize that.
And then let me just say that, like, this is not shade at like white people, but it is at the same time. This country was stolen in the first place. So it's like, since then, they, like, a lot of them have stolen a lot of other things.
To my viewers out there, I'm not saying this is, but I'm definitely agreeing with the
It's a stolen land.
I just don't want to get demonetized, but I'm definitely here. I'm definitely agreeing with what Lauren is
saying. Yeah, like, it was not theirs.
Yes.
They came and they trespassed, and then they claimed it as theirs. So, you know, like, for people to say that, like, America was discovered this, and this, like, no. Native Americans discovered it. You came and trespassed and stole it and claimed it as your own. And then we want to have these big holidays to celebrate stealing.
And then don't forget about what those people did to those people. Like, they almost wiped out these people. Can you believe it?
Entire population, like,
and we try to put them in these little areas, and then we gave them a whole bunch of alcohol, and now alcohol is like such a bad problem in like where they live, and then suicide, and we're not helping them. I don't
understand why certain white people say this is like I can't believe I didn't bring this up earlier, but there was this lady, I don't know if y'all saw this, but there's these two white couples, I forgot what, I think it's in California. They were painting over the Black Lives Matter mural on the street, and she was yelling out, she's like, this is my town, like, this is my, like, lady, this is not the 50s. What are you doing?
Not yours.
Yes, you pay tax. Even if you do pay taxes, I pay taxes. Huntsville is not my town. This is not my area. Even if that's not your area. Like, you pay taxes, yes, but that's not your area. Even the mayor or the governor, Kay Ivey, does not own Alabama. I make that very clear. Nobody owns it. Nobody owns really anything. None of this belongs to us. So when you say this is my town, my country, it's like, first of all, do your history. Go home and do your history very carefully. Read over it. And then when you do your history, come back and tell me what actually happened in history. And then I will listen. Okay.
No.
Okay.
And this patriotism, their patriotism, yeah. It's not real. It's not real. Like, they want to believe that they're being patriotic, but their patriotism is really like, it's racist as well. Like, I don't understand. That's why I don't celebrate 4th of July no more. It's just fireworks day. It's just fireworks day.
Yeah,
The cookout. It's a cookout.
Y'all didn't make this place for me. Y'all didn't make this. Please.
I think from now on, and I have to regret saying this, but I feel like as a younger, as when we were younger, I feel like I should celebrate at least more Juneteenth. And to be honest, I didn't know about Juneteenth. I was like 12, so I grew up 12 years without knowing what Juneteenth was, and part of that was the education system that goes back to that. Never didn't even read about Frederick Douglass until I was in like the 5th grade, which I never understood that. But to me, I feel like I just first of all, I did not celebrate 4th of July this year just because of so many things. I heard the fireworks, like, okay, Independence Day, all right,
Yeah.
And I saw this post of Rick Ross. He was like, Happy Independence Day. He was like, for who? And I was like,
Right.
the point. But
Right.
I feel like
it wasn't for us. It wasn't for us.
At all.
I want to act like it is, but it was not.
Yeah.
Like
And not even
Juneteenth.
gonna lie, like honestly, yeah, like with Juneteenth, I didn't know what that was until maybe 3 or 4 years ago, honestly.
I found out last year.
Like it's just something that like it's just like it was never taught. So like I didn't know about it until I was on social media one day and like I saw a few people posting about it, but I was like, okay, like it's not really celebrated as much by like a lot of people. So like I just didn't know what it was. Like I never heard of it before. But it's like this year, like everybody was aware of it for the most part. So like that's why it was celebrated. And it's like this should have been happening for years, but it just wasn't talked about at all. So.
Since the day it was declared, it should have happened. But I'm gonna say this, and Lisa, were you gonna say something?
Oh no, it's just that we get taught so much about white history, and they just really glaze over our history, and they glaze over the things that our people have done when we built this country. I mean,
literally,
like there was some politician, I don't know who it was, but it was something about how he was saying he got really everyone was like really upset with him about it, but he was basically saying how slavery was necessary. But in order for this country to be made, it was like for the white people, like they really did need us to make this country. But
they wouldn't have done it. Like this country would not have been a thing if it wasn't for slaves. Honestly, and it's like it sucks, but I mean, I guess it's what people do when they steal land in the first place. So,
man, just think of a life without slavery. Think if we all stayed in Africa. Like, to be honest, I have dreams about this. Like, I feel like our lives, I'm not saying our lives are terrible now. Our lives are great. I'm sure that we love America, has good qualities, all of that good stuff. But there are some cons to it. But what I'm saying is that I feel like, I'll say this and I'll move on to my next topic. But I feel like in Africa, if we had stayed in Africa, if we weren't, forced and tricked, I feel like we could have had like our own. I'm not gonna say we would have been a Wakanda, but we definitely would have been still advanced to like a certain degree.
Look, why was I about to say that though?
Yeah.
I mean, look at the Aztecs and things. Like all these people, like they were doing all this crazy stuff back then, and people be acting like they were savages. But like, look at the Native Americans and like how they were literally using everything. And then the white people come over and they're like, "Oh my gosh, these people don't know how to live." Like, are you serious? Like, they're doing just fine.
Because like, if you think about it, literally, like Native Americans taught them how to survive. Yeah. Like, even if you go back to like Pocahontas, John Smith, all that kind of stuff, those people would have died if it wasn't for Native Americans. So my thing is like, why come to a country, first of all, still ask them to teach you everything that they know and then try to kill them off? Like, you're using people. So it's like, that was the first example. Then boom, you're like, okay, we don't know how to build. We don't know how to plant crops. We can't do anything. So we're going to go find someone else. So boom, let's go to Africa and get the strongest people and get them to do all of our work, because once again, we don't know what we're doing. And it's like, honestly, like it just continues, because even now, like when you get to like prisons, they have them prisoners doing all the work that they don't want to do. And it's like, it just keeps coming back in like different forms. And it's like, honestly, like I feel like a lot of like situations and problems like in America will not be solved until like this system stops. Like it's like history keeps repeating itself in a different form, and it's just gonna keep happening. So
yeah, my brother's class, he's taking a summer class for history, and then he was talking like his teacher had him learning, I guess, I don't know, they were learning about the Native Americans or whatnot, and I was learning stuff from him. Like apparently, like they were doing, I don't even know the proper word for it, but like when they're like cross doing it, I don't know, with like plants and whatnot. If you guys know what I'm talking about.
I think
it's not
I don't know the word, but yeah.
Yeah, it's not cross pollinating, but it's cross something. But like apparently like they had that figured out, and then the white people didn't have that figured out until years and years and years later. I mean, I don't know. They like to act like I don't know, other people are so uneducated when in reality it's not true.
Very intellectual. We were I feel like all of minority and brown. I don't like to use the word minority because it literally means inferior. So I like to use Anglo-Saxon for describing Native Americans or brown and black people. We have always been intellectual. And what sucked is that the American society, and Lauren, you were saying this earlier, the system is oppressive. The system is corrupt. The American society has, I would say, transformed or tried to transform our minds thinking that we are inferior. We are not on the same intellectual levels as the majority of America, which is totally not true. Some of the smartest people on the planet are Black people, are people of minorities, or people of different ethnic and urban.
Yeah, people of color.
So, to me, who's the real geniuses of the world? Who are the real powerful people? Who are the people? Do you realize okay, let me just say this. The richest person on the planet is not Jeff Bezos. There are people in countries, in Indian, Middle Eastern countries, who have generational wealth, like crazy wealth. These people, when they see Jeff Bezos' salary, they laugh. They're like, oh, that's the richest person? That's what y'all hooping hollering about? They have trillionaires. They don't mention them because they're not in America, but there are literally trillionaires in those Indian countries. So
even back then, I don't know, my dad has like all these papers with like Black history on it and stuff, but then I feel like I think one of them was like chess, like a black person created chess, but like at the same time, like just thinking about back then, you have all these slaves or just people that I guess like just Black people that didn't really have much in their life going on, but like they have ideas and stuff, and then they tell a white person, and the white person, they steal their idea, and they take all the money that they get with that. Like so many things have been created and made and thought up by people of color that have just been taken away from them.
Light bulb, Black dude. You don't talk about him. It was Loudon. It was not Edison.
Yep. But it's like, it's just sad that we aren't taught these things. Because it's like, our people are honestly amazing. But, it's just like, the world wants us to like be portrayed as not being these intelligent people. But it's like Black people have done so much for the world, but it's like, we would never know unless we go research it ourselves. And that's honestly sad,
Just imagine. It's even if we weren't oppressed, do you know how I'm not trying to brag, but you know how easy it would be for do you know how dominant LeBron James would be if not for all the adversity, or Kobe, or different political leaders? I would say Ben Carson, but he's kind of.
Yeah, he fell off the deep end.
But
old Ben Carson, yeah.
Yeah. But people who come up with like all the oppression in the world, can you imagine how much greater? And I'm not to say that their greatness is diminished, but I am going to say that they have definitely been lashed at for trying to be the best version of themselves throughout their lives. So I was just imagine like how far more we as Black people could be.
Sometimes I think about like Black Wall Street, like if that was still a thing today, like just imagine like that would have been like that would have been, I don't even know, like sometimes I can't even wrap my mind around that. Just like I just can't believe something that great was taken from us. You know, like it would have been insane if that was still a thing today.
Every black person will have $1 million. I will bet my entire life savings if Black Wall Street was a thing, every black person would have, well, given the opportunity to have $1 million. Do you think that morality, like good and bad judgment, do you think that has been severely affected by peer pressure, specifically in society?
I would say yes. Because for a lot of people, I think that they know right from wrong, good from bad growing up. But when they get around people that weren't raised with those same mindsets, they just kind of tend to follow what they do. Like you can even think something as simple as like smoking, you know, like even if you grew up knowing like smoking isn't something that you should really do, your family doesn't want you doing it, no one in your family does it, but you get around people at school that all they do is smoke, then you feel like in order for you to fit in with those people, a lot of people fall victim to that peer pressure and feel like, you know, to be accepted by like the majority around them, like they have to do those things. So I definitely think that like some people's sense of like good from bad gets twisted when they get around people that don't think the same way.
And then like what kind of like what you were saying, like they just feel like they have to fit in, or I don't know. And some people like even with me, like being disliked or hated, like I don't want to have to feel that. I always try to put myself in a position where I'm not like disliked by others, but if it comes to right and wrong, of course I'm going to do the right thing even if you don't like me for it. And I also have to thank, I guess, my religion, because like I don't know, being a Christian, like raised in a Christian household, like I don't know, especially if like your household is really strict, so like I'm like kind of have to always do the right thing. Like there's no room for me doing anything like wrong, no matter, even if all my friends are doing it. Like my parents are like, nah, that's not okay, you can't do that. Like, and then like, would God want you to do that? Like, no.
Yeah, I
like that's the person that matters the most for me, so I'm gonna do.
It's just like, you know,
agree.
like even if you think you're doing the right thing, or like if you do something wrong, it's like in the Christian household, like, you know, God is still watching and he sees everything that you do. So even if you thought you got away with doing something, you really didn't, because he sees everything that you do. So, you know, I think for like, it's kind of different for like a lot of Christians, because, you know, like I think a lot of us don't let like our moral judgment get skewed, because like a lot of us are like really true to like our faith and, you know, what we've been taught and that kind of thing. So I think like for us, it's like easier to be like rooted in knowing right from wrong, good from bad, and like not, you know, moving or like leaving from that, because it's like you don't want to face the consequences of something like that. So
Absolutely, both of you are right. And I'm glad you two brought up religion as playing like a supporting factor, because that definitely has. I feel like people who aren't religious will for sure be more prone to just fall into the crowd, because there's no. I feel like religion is a foundation, and I'm not saying that if you don't have a religion, you don't have a foundation, but I am saying that if you don't have a religion, you will be missing you'll have a lot of holes in your life, in the sense of uh, not having any core foundations or not having any morals, you know. And I feel like religion, growing up in a Christian household, that definitely has a lot to do with being yourself and being rooted to who you are and knowing your morals. You know, everybody on this line knows like your ethics, and you know never to cross or dissuade from those core values. So it's definitely, but in society, it's not to say that it's so easy, that we're so rooted. It's very hard, because, you know, we all live in, and I'm trying not to be religious, but we all live in like the flesh. And so it's the flesh always wants, you know, instantaneously. The flesh doesn't care that it's going to take you such and such time to get, it wants it now. It wants to fit in with the crowd right now. It doesn't care that you're on the right track. So I definitely agree with both of you in the sense of that religion definitely has a lot to do with staying away from the crowd and just being yourself and not who you really are.
I agree.
This one also could get passionate, but please remember this is PG. So I understand that I definitely have strong feelings about this topic, and you will too. But so the next topic is what is your take on the all lives matter phrase rebuttal? And for those of you who don't know, to my viewers out there, the all lives matter is the rebuttal and the response to people saying Black Lives Matter. What I want to know is, and I will break those down, what do you two think? Ooh, I'm so scared to ask this question.
Go ahead, I'm ready.
Right, like bring it.
Right. So what do you two think, in your opinion? What do you two think all lives, why do you think that the people are shouting all lives matter in response?
Okay, so I think that they use that as a response because they're ignorant to the real issues that are going on. So, first of all, a lot of people don't understand what the Black Lives Matter movement is about. They think it's just trying to create this idea of like Black supremacy or something, and that's not what it is. Like, I feel like the All Lives Matter people they don't know what Black Lives Matter means, and at the same time, they're not making an attempt to know what it means. They just see those three words and think that Black people are trying to exclude everyone. Like, none of us ever said that all lives didn't matter. We're saying all lives don't matter until Black lives do matter, and Black lives are a part of that equation. So, I just think people that say that, they're just ignorant to the fact of like what Black Lives Matter actually means for, those two reasons. Like, either A, they don't want to know what it means and they just choose to ignore it, or B, they've twisted the definition and like the meaning of like what that movement is really about. So
I think so. Like when they hear Black Lives Matter, like what you were saying. It's just like the black part. Like I don't understand. Like the black part just scares them away. They just think for some reason they think that excludes them, but like they can be a part of it. Like they can help us make sure that all lives matter, because all lives should matter, but it's kind of not mattering right now to many people. And then we see that in Alabama plenty enough. I don't know if y'all saw a few weeks ago, or I guess a month ago, like on the side, someone had graffiti and they were just swastikas and the N-word and all lives matter. Yeah, you see that way too much. But
yeah, I definitely am total agreement with this. Here's my take on it. I think that it's okay when you say all lives matter. Like, yes, genius, all lives do matter. Yeah, I know that. That's like you. That's like you saying. I saw this TikTok where it's like the houses are on fire. I don't know if I saw this, but it was like the house is on fire. It's like, wait, what about my house? Your house is not on fire, right? No. Okay, so let me go help this burning building real fast, and then if your house catches on fire, I'll help you. And they're like, well, my house matters. Genius. Yes, I know your house matters. All lives do matter. And I'm saying what both of you are saying. It's not that all lives. There are people, and there's a sad part. There are people in this country. The reason why we say Black Lives Matter is because there are some people in this country who really believe in their hearts that Black lives don't matter. There's people who go by that every day, believe in that. And so, and it's not Black lives, it's not Black power. It's matters. They matter. Why is that such a controversial? I talked about this in our last podcast, and I'll say it again. Why is matters? Matters is just the minimum. It's literally the minimum. I'm asking you to just see my life as not more important than yours, but just see it as just equal. You can't even spare me my life. Can we have civil rights? That was a whole part of the 60s. Civil rights. Can we have civil, like, liberty? Can we have that? I could go on, but I'm going to let y'all take over because I need to relax. I'm getting amped up.
Yeah, I agree that like a lot of times people just take one little word out of context because like the difference between like the word black and the word all. They feel like if you put the word black in there, you're just saying that only those people matter. No one that like supports this movement is saying that only black people matter. And I think like that's why they say it, because they think that just because that one word is there, they think that means you're excluding everyone else.
Mhm.
And that's not what it is. And it's like if people would just open their eyes and like actually listen to someone that supports the movement, they would understand that there's more to it. It's not just saying black people matter. Like we're saying right now, we need to matter, not more, but like there needs to be more emphasis put on making us like more of the all part. Because at this point,
Mhm.
it feels like when you say all lives matter, it seems like you're saying all minus black people. That's what it sounds like at this point, because like
Mhm.
people that come and use that as a rebuttal, it's like you don't care about the black part. Let me just say everybody, and then maybe they can be a part of that. So it's like they're just kind of disregarding like the whole point of the movement by trying to like put themselves into it. And like what we talked about earlier, people won't understand what it truly feels like unless they're in that position. So, we can say Black Lives Matter, and it's like they may not understand it because they're not black and they don't live like we do every day and, go around, watching their surroundings and making sure that they don't wear a hood in public and all this kind of stuff. Like, you don't live the struggle that we live, so you won't understand. So, like, with people saying all lives matter, it's just like they're oblivious to the fact that, like, black people live a different life from them. So.
Mhm. Yeah, completely agree with you. And then it's also like what you were kind of saying before, like the part where it's like when you say all lives matter, it really does feel like an exclusion. Because a lot of like the people that say this, a lot of them like they don't really believe that all lives matter. Like, because then once you start bringing up like gay lives and trans lives, especially some of the conservative Christians, like they're not gonna stand up for them. So you can't say all lives matter when you really don't believe what you're saying. Like that doesn't click, doesn't work together, sis.
Like, honestly, sometimes in my head, all can be a synonym for white because they see all as being their majority. So they're trying to say all, but it's like, are y'all really counting? Like, I don't like using the word minority either, but like, I guess like, it's like, are y'all actually trying to consider underrepresented communities in that equation? And it's like with people using the word all, it just seems like they're trying to act like they want those underrepresented people to be in it, but they really don't. They're just saying I matter and the people that look like me matter, and that should be the end of it.
Like if they really believe all lives matter, then they would be marching, they would be helping us, they would be signing all of these petitions and calling all of the politicians to help change everything that's going on in this world, in this, I don't know, in the system that's so rotten. Right. We gotta change it all.
Throw the whole thing away.
We gotta rebuild it. We gotta rebuild it.
I don't even think the Black Lives Matter is a movement. I just think, I'm stating the obvious. Of course, Black Lives Matter. Of course, Hispanic lives. I shouldn't have to say a specific race matters. You should just know that all people, if you're part of the human race, your life matters. You should just know that. And people who say all lives matter, obviously, I'm the only one seeing all these black people being beaten and killed live on TV, by the way, by police officers. I guess I'm not seeing these white people that get killed, right? Or am I watching the wrong news channel? And I saw this a couple of weeks ago, and goodness, is a whole nother topic. These governors and mayors are really, in the Southeast, are really showing their true colors. I don't know if you guys were watching. They just, especially with the school reopening, they follow this delusional leader that we have in office. We got this idiot in office. Sorry, I hate to break it down to you, but got this delusional leader in office, and they're all following him like sheep. And they're saying that white people are in danger, and I'm like, what channel are you watching? Where the last thing I saw was George Floyd begging for his mother with a knee on his neck for 8 minutes, in which 2 of those minutes he was unresponsive. To me, that is not protecting and serving the community that you so-called work for. It is abusing your power, as both of you have stated, earlier, is abusing your power because of whatever the reason. I don't care what the reason is, but the system is corrupt. The country is in shambles, in my opinion, and I feel like certain people in this country are just not going to change. But I feel like as Black people, we have to, as we've always have, we're very forgiving people. Stand firm, stand tall, know your core values, and just keep doing the right thing, and people will eventually will catch on.
Mm-hmm. And honestly, I feel like that's what's kind of happened this year. You know, like Black people in general have, you know, just kind of tried to keep it in for so long, but like when you keep seeing the same stuff happen over and over, you know, like that's when the riots start happening, because, you know, like Dr. King said, riots are the language of the unheard. Like all this oppression has been going on for so long, you know, like seeing like Trayvon Martin, like all this stuff like for years, and it keeps happening, and like no justice is being served. Like that's what ends up happening afterwards. You know, it's like, what else do you want people to do if they're not being heard by being peaceful, if they're not being heard by, you know, starting an innocent movement to like bring awareness to what's going on? Like, yes, they're going to resort to violence because that's the only other thing they can do to be heard. And it's like when they do that, they're seen as being like anarchists and all this other stuff. And I'm like, okay, what do you want them to do? You had like, they got your attention now. So, you know, it's like maybe what they did works because you're doing something about it. And also, let me just say that, you know, all these like Black Lives Matter, like yellow painted streets and stuff, I think that's great. But like, what's being done in the courthouses? What's being done, you know, like by politicians, you know, like spending $400 or $500 on some yellow paint. Okay, like we get it. There's been enough streets painted at this point. It's a nice public display, but like what else is being done? You know, mine is painting a street. Like I could go do that myself if I wanted to, honestly. So
they want us to think. I think they just really want us to think that they're with us. Like the same thing with all the people just posting the black squares and then going back to the regular posting session. They're acting like they really care, but they really don't. Because if they did, then they'd be changing this. Breonna Taylor, huh? Girl was murdered, and then also we recently found out that she was still alive for 5 more minutes and received no medical attention. What is this? How is this a thing? How is this even allowed? Why aren't they in jail? Like why aren't they fired? You know, I just don't understand that. And then kind of going back onto another thing that you were saying, Lauren, like Colin Kaepernick kneeled and everyone was in a frenzy. For trying to literally say that there's injustices going on. And then now we had marches and then riots, and now they're like, oh my gosh, no, you guys need to do a peaceful protest. Colin Kaepernick got fired. Are you serious? Y'all weren't saying anything. Y'all weren't helping us when we were doing the peaceful stuff. But now y'all want to start talking because we're really upset. And now we burned down a few buildings. I don't understand.
I feel like there's no type of, they're doing everything but what we asked for. It's like you go to a restaurant and all I want is a glass of water. That's all I want. A glass of water with a straw in it, maybe a couple ice cubes, right? You bring me a steak with a potato, okay? I appreciate a steak and potato, but I wanted water. And then you bring me a cheesecake, okay? I love cheesecake. I still want my water though. Still want my water. Then you bring me a glass of lemonade. I'm leaving. I'm not leaving you a tip, nothing. So it's yo, you're doing everything but addressing the problem. And it's just like, to me, it's like you're just scratching the surface at this point. You're not actually deep in the core values. And what I heard in Texas really tripped me up. The fact that master bedroom is now being, the word master is now being taken out of master bedroom. I never even thought that master bedroom could be racist. It's the biggest room in the house. How is that racist? It's the biggest house.
Yeah, that was really it. Like just out of pocket.
Yo,
like
you're doing too much. You know.
I understand what they were trying to do, because technically, like that was like, I mean, because now like a lot of things have like changed. Like I'm trying to get my train of thought, but like things that we think about now, like the perceptions of that have changed. But if we look deeper and further into it, like technically a lot of those things did have the bad connotations, but once it's changed and once we like, most of us don't even know exactly. Most of us don't even know. Like, I don't see how that's helping anything. I don't know.
I've never been offended by if I'm sure my parents were when they were looking for a house and the realtor was like, so here we have the master bedroom, and they were like, oh, please don't say that word around us. I'm sure that wasn't their no one cares. I'm sorry, nobody cares that master is in front of bedroom. I'm sorry to hurt your feelings, but that doesn't affect us. Hey buddy, what affects us is, black people are getting beat and killed by officers for abusing the power. Can you do something about that? Can you defund the police? Can you arrest the officers who killed Breonna Taylor and her boyfriend? Can you arrest them? Can you nothing? Just pay leave, pay administration, as they always do.
Of course. And then, sometimes that doesn't even happen. They'll just be walking around on the job like nothing has going on. Because even, like with the George Floyd scenario, those two officers had so many counts of like misuse of power and like aggressive conduct. It was all kinds of stuff on their records, and it's like nothing in the past had been done about it. So it's like things like this are going to keep happening because like not even with law enforcement, just in general, people aren't holding each other accountable for doing wrong. They just let it go and they continue walking around. Even like with George Zimmerman, like what? Like, and then he keeps getting into like more and more trouble and like these assault cases and stuff. Like nothing's being done to punish the people that should be punished, but instead we're punishing people that have barely done anything.
Exactly. Or the people that can't post bail. I mean, like poor people, like for petty things. I don't understand. And they can't post bail, and now they're literally in jail. And like it makes me so sad, like listening to these stories. There was some guy on like America's Got Talent or whatnot, and he was in jail for decades over something that he didn't even do. Like there's just so many things wrong that's not being fixed, and then we have these police officers that want to be praised, so they're like coming up with all this stuff and planting drugs and doing all this stuff and like, oh yeah, I got the rapist or whatever, and it's not even him, and they're just ruining these people's lives for what?
In Florida,
Mass incarceration now, like in modern day slave labor. Too much.
In Florida, there were police officers. I forgot what county, but they were against the rules of having body cams. And I'm like, why do you're a cop? You're supposed to have a body cam. And they're like, no, we don't want body cameras. I'm like, how else are you gonna record? Even if say there's an actual crime, how are you gonna record it if you don't have a body cam? Now you shot yourself in the foot. So that lets me know that you don't take your job seriously. Because if you take it seriously, then you would always have your body cam on for those scenarios when you have crime. But no, you want to hide your body cam, assuming that you want to abuse your power, plant drugs, and they did that in Baltimore, and which I was not happy about because I'm actually from Baltimore. Cops were multiple occasions were found planting drugs in cars. Like they would ask the drivers to step out the car, come search a car. They were playing, that has a little white bag come out. Like, yo, people go to jail for that. And what always tripped me up. So if I were ever to get pulled over, which luckily I haven't, but I know it's coming. Jesus, I know it's coming. But if I were ever to get pulled over and they asked me to search my car, I would say no, because you have no reason to search my car. Now, if I have something, of illegal use, which I probably won't, but say if I did for whatever reason, then I would have to search my car. I have to let them search my car. And if they do, and I lied about it, then I go to jail. But if I don't have anything to hide, then you're not searching my vehicle. No. And I don't know if you two have heard about the new iPhone thing, where if you're getting pulled over, you can have a feature on an iPhone. But my plan was always just to start recording every time.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I just think like a lot of the things that go on now is just because, like there's a problem with like abusing power. Like people get in a position, you know, being in law enforcement, being a politician, whatever that is, and they just feel like they have to like assert themselves in a way that like they dominate over other people instead of actually helping people. Like I think a lot of the problem is that like people start thinking about like these jobs as just like a way to glorify themselves rather than help others and serve the people and serve the community like they're supposed to. So I think like honestly, like if people didn't lose sight of why they're truly in these positions, we wouldn't be having these problems as much as we do.
I was reading something, and I think it was this guy, he might have been from Canada, but I don't know. He was talking about how he joined the police service because he wanted to help people. And then he saw like all this stuff going down within, I guess, I don't know, like within the people that he was working with. And they were doing bad things, like planting drugs and all that stuff. And then I don't know, like then they all kind of ganged up against him. And so like you have all of these people that like actually want to help being covered up by, I don't know. I don't know. Like we can't see anything good being done because you have all these bad people. I don't know. It's so sad. Like people want to help and they go to try to help. And then like you have these people that are just like, what are you doing? Like what they said, they were basically like, we're a family, like we don't go against each other, even though they were doing like these horrible things. And so like, I don't know.
It goes back to patriotism. If you really believe in the law, even if the law says, say the law said stealing from somebody is perfectly okay, there are people who are going to go abide by that. We're like, oh, well, the law says it, so it's all right, and I'm going to do it because I'm part of the American society. I'm an American citizen. I pay such and such taxes. And then people, and there's other people who actually have good common sense and judgment, like, that might be the law, but it's wrong. You shouldn't steal from other people. If it's not yours, don't take.
I mean, technically we can go on, but like,
Right.
we can talk about everything that's wrong, but we just got to work on fixing it.
Yeah. Thank you guys for watching. I'm very appreciative that you two, Lauren and Lisi, have joined me today. Great combo. For my viewers out there, like and comment down below. Tap that bell for notifications and subscribe to the Dream King channel for future videos.